Fair play to Jake Paul for taking on this fight. Jake Paul is going to be fighting Mike Perry officially. This is going to happen in less than 2 weeks. I don't know why Jake Paul took this fight. I sincerely don't think it's a good fight for Jake Paul. I think it's a very, very bad fight for Jake Paul. I might be wrong, but from what I know about Mike Perry, this is not a good fight for Jake Paul to take. For you guys that know Mike Perry, you know the story of Mike Perry. Mike Perry was in the UFC before. He had a good run. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, but he was a damn good stand-up fighter. It wasn't really good on the ground, it was all right. If you're a really good wrestler like Usman or someone, you can definitely dominate Mike Perry most of the time on the floor. But standing with Mike Perry was a bit of a nightmare sometimes because the guy always brought it and brought it. He never stops coming forward. Mike Perry likes to fight. He doesn't really care to get one, to give two, that kind of a fighter. He just puts that pressure on from the beginning of the bell to the end of the bell, and he's a tough, tough man. Mike Perry is no man to joke with. He's probably one of those guys on the street that you look at one glance and you look back the other way immediately. Mike Perry is not one of those guys you definitely want to F with, and that is a fact. He's a funny guy. He has charisma. He's a tough guy, as I said. He knows how to fight. He's not afraid to fight. In his interviews, he's very entertaining. Mike Perry has everything that you want in a fighter. That is all I can say about the guy. And at the moment, Mike Perry is obviously fighting in the BKFC, the Bare Knuckle FC. He's doing great in Bare Knuckle FC. He's basically a phenom in the Bare Knuckle FC. He's undefeated in the BKFC. He's fought a lot of big guys. He's fought even Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold is massive. Mike Perry fought Luke Rockhold and won that fight. Mike Perry is a very, very good stand-up fighter. And he has proved it in the BKFC. Then you're talking about Jake Paul. Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation, the former YouTube sensation. I don't even know why Jake Paul is fighting. Why did he even start boxing? What does he have to prove? Because the guy was already making millions with his brother, Logan Paul, in the YouTube stuff, YouTube content. They already made it. I don't know why the guys, Jake Paul and Logan Paul, started boxing and want to be fighting, want to become fighters. I tell you one thing. If I was making money without having to get my head kicked in or having to get my head boxed in, I will be making money that way. It's a way better, trust me. All these guys that fight, I have so much respect for them. It's not easy to do. Back to Jake Paul. I don't know why he started fighting. Now he's a boxer, kind of. We don't really know much about Jake Paul, how really good the guy is, because the guy has fought a few people. He's fought some MMA guys like Tyron Woodley. He also fought some real boxers like Tommy Fury. Obviously, Tommy Fury is from the Tyson Fury family. And he is not the best boxer. He is nothing compared to Tyson Fury anyways. He's actually Tyson Fury's brother, if I'm not mistaken. Although he's not the best boxer, but he's still a real boxer. That is what he does. He's been training boxing since when he was a young fella. But Jake Paul lost that fight. Jake Paul has knocked out a few guys, as I said, but Jake Paul is still relatively unknown. We don't know how really good this guy is, but from what we can see, he's not great. He's only an average guy, a good punching power, hardworking, smart guy, has a lot of people around him for sure. He has the resources to be good. But at this age, I don't think you can be excellent, if you get what I mean. Because he started late, let's be honest with each other. Like, he started really, really late, started boxing really late. The guys that started boxing and at the top of the range, you're talking about Mayweather, them. Those boys have been boxing since when they were kids, man. You start boxing from that age and you grow with it. It becomes part of you all your life. But Jake Paul only started boxing 4 years ago, professionally. So this is a bad fight for Jake. That is my whole point. It's a bad fight for Jake. I know he's going to watch a lot of tapes on Mike Perry. He's going to have a lot of good coaches that will tell him what to do and how to do it. But we're talking about probably a 10-round fight, 3 minutes per round. We're talking about how is he gonna cope when Mike Perry, the platinum, keeps coming forward and doesn't go anywhere. Because Mike Perry is a tough man. He's not going anywhere. It's very difficult to take that man out. How is he gonna cope when the going gets tough? That is my question for Jake Paul. Does he have enough skill even to stand toe-to-toe with Mike Perry? Because Mike Perry is not a boxer, as I said. He's an MMA fighter originally, but he's been fighting bare knuckle for the last couple of years now, and he's the bare knuckle phenom. He is the best bare knuckle fighter that they have in that organization. At the moment, if my memory serves me right, he's undefeated as well. How is he gonna cope? Someone like Mike Perry coming against you? I don't know, and I'm looking forward to see exactly what happens. I might be wrong by saying this is a bad fight for Jake Paul. I think Mike Perry should probably knock Jake Paul out in this boxing fight. That is the way I see it. But then let's look at the other side of the coin. Jake Paul is no fool. Jake Paul knows exactly what he's doing. Everybody he's been fighting has been calculated right from the beginning till now. The guy is very, very calculated. I don't know, is this a calculated move? Does he see something in Mike Perry? I think Jake Paul is slightly bigger than Mike Perry. Mike Perry is not massive, but Jake Paul is quite big. He's quite a big guy. I'm sure he sees some things that he can take advantage of on Mike Perry. That's why he's taking this fight. Obviously, Jake Paul is no fool, as I said. The guy is no fool. He's a very smart guy. You have to be smart to get to this stage of Jake Paul. But it could also be false confidence. Does he think because he's after knocking out a few MMA fighters, he can knock out Mike Perry? You know those MMA fighters that he's knocked out, those ones are full-time MMA. Mike Perry is a bare knuckle fighter. And the difference between bare knuckle and boxing, I'll tell you the difference now. The major difference is the glove. In a boxing, you have a glove. That glove protects your hand. And also when you hit your opponent, he's able to absorb more punches. But at the same time, boxing can give you more brain damage. Because of the cushy of the glove, you're taking more punches, more absorbing more punches. So in the future, the chances of getting more brain damage in boxing is quite higher than bare knuckle. Because in bare knuckle, you're fighting with your bare knuckle. You can't really throw your maximum punch. You're afraid to break your hand. You might break your hand. People don't tend to throw the maximum punch. You can't, but the gloves helps you to throw your max punch. And also, the guy that you're punching, there's going to be a lot of cut on their faces. The referee, the doctor is highly likely to stop the fight. The chances of a bare knuckle fight going for long is slimmer than a boxing. And also in bare knuckle, it's 2 minutes per round. It's quick. And it's a 5 round. Basically, you take more punches in boxing and less punches in bare knuckle. Can't absorb much on the knuckle to skin. The cut and everything is more sore. That is the basic difference between bare knuckle and boxing. When it comes to like the technique, fighting, throwing strikes, it's still your hands that you're using in bare knuckle and boxing. So Mike Perry definitely has an advantage than other MMA fighters that Jake Paul has fought in the past. That is what I'm trying to say. For example, Tyron Woodley is no boxer. Tyron Woodley was a wrestler in MMA. He knows how to do the overhand right. He's good at that. Once he gets you with that overhand right, you're more than likely going down. But that was all he had when it comes to punching. And then he closes your distance and then takes you onto the floor, wrestles you, tries to ground and pound you. But Mike Perry, even when he was in the UFC, he was always standing, putting pressure forward. And that is exactly what he's going to do to Jake Paul. And now that he's been fighting bare knuckle for the last couple of years, his stand-up game is only better. That is my point. His stand-up game is only better. I don't think this is a good fight for Jake Paul, as I said, but we're going to find out. And this is the interesting thing about fight. You think this person has your number, or people think this person has your number, but when they start fighting, it's a different ball game. Things could change. Someone could be better on the day. Someone could have a better day. Things happen, even build up to the fight. You don't know what's going to happen. On that day, things can happen. So that is why fight is a sweet science. And I can't wait to see this fight in less than 2 weeks. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think about the Jake Paul-Mike Perry fight. Do you think this is a good fight or a bad fight for Jake Paul? Do you think Jake Paul can win this fight? I don't think so. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you at the next video. Ciao.